Morning all, and welcome back to the channel. Today is March 14th, 2025, and this is going to be just a bit of a, call it a mid-month update on the garden and how things are going. I'm going to do a full garden tour in about 2 weeks where we can see sort of at the end of March how things are progressing. There'll be more things installed, but I got a handful of things going around the garden that I think are kind of interesting that I wanted to show you today. So we're going to start with compost. Now, earlier this month, maybe March 2nd, I can't remember the date specifically, I built the first heap of the season. I have a video of that, and it's basically a combination of the ring that I have that's mostly decomposing Bermuda grass and the deciduous leaf fall and other miscellaneous stuff from my staging area. I combined the two in this first bay, and at the end of the month I'm going to flip it, but tomorrow I'm going to add more material to it. So let's take a look at how it's doing so far. Now right now we can see that it is almost 100 degrees. Not incredibly hot, but not too bad since I didn't really have any aggressively nitrogenous material. It was running about 55 for the first 3 days after it got built, and then it went to low 60s, and then it's been trending upward every day since. It hasn't necessarily settled at this just sub 100 because yesterday it was 95, so again it ticked up another 3 degrees. Right now we've had mornings that are ranging anywhere between the mid 30s to low 40s, so I can't really complain about something that's almost hitting 100 already. Now on the back side of this building, little structure, is the water capture. And I showed this in an earlier video too a few months ago. This structure, Compost and Water, was built back in September of 2024. And I used the water capture when I was installing my strawberries, redistributing them in the garden in mid to late November. And I was pulling off the water of these barrels to get them established. The system works really well. I was extremely pleased with how the water got captured. The barrels weren't leaking. That was really nice. I did have two efficiency challenges that kind of came to light after I started using it, and earlier this week I solved both of them to a pretty good conclusion. Let me show you. So as you can see with this system, I've got 4 barrels. Valves are installed and they are daisy chained together with hoses, splitters, and I mended the hoses to connect them all up. The biggest challenge I first came across was that splitter to the far right. When I open the valve, it is extremely slow. So to fill up a watering can, even when the barrels are full with a lot of gravity pressing down, it took anywhere between a minute to 2 minutes per watering can. It's a 2-gallon watering can. That slowed me down when I was trying to get these things established pretty aggressively. So I solved that thing 2 days ago when I emptied this barrel by installing another fitting. And you can see the flow rate is very different on these valves. And the difference is even more noticeable when the barrels are full. These are, I would say there's maybe 10 gallons left in each of these barrels. They equalize as time goes on. We're expecting a rain in a few days, so that should fill them up a bit more. I'm not really pulling off them too much at the moment. So I'm really happy with how that's worked out. That makes filling this up really easily. Now, the second challenge I noticed is this particular bed in the northeast corner here is a strawberry bed. When I was installing that, I was pulling off the water from here, but not this valve because it wasn't installed at the time. So it was off the slow valve. And then I had to walk all the way around to that gate and up. And that led me to realize that as well as this structure is located because it doesn't obstruct the sun, it's not ideal for getting water in the garden. So again, 2 or 3 days ago, with no spending money, because I had the materials on hand, I cobbled together this gate. And it's nothing more than 1-inch PVC, 4 foot, 3 foot, and these fittings that are actually 3-directional. They're not 2-directional elbows because it's all I had on hand, and a spring clamp. And the hinge is nothing more than this old electrical wire, or I say electric fence wire, that I found in one of the barns on the property that's been here since I bought the place 5 years ago. And yeah, this actually works really well as a gate for me to simply use on the north side, and now I can pull off the water when I need to, walk right in. And I did a bit of a time study on this when I first set the new valve and the gate up 2 or 3 days ago when I was watering in my potato plants. And for one bed, I used 4 watering cans. With the new valve and the new gate, which is the new system, it took me 4 minutes to water a bed. With the old valve and the old gate, it took me 12 minutes. So that's a pretty nice time savings. Not that I need to be overly efficient with this because I enjoy working by hand, but I also don't want to be blatantly inefficient if I could install a low-cost, no-cost solution to solve the problem. Now here's something that's going kind of wrong with the garden at the moment, and that is I've got a critter problem. Something has been coming in the last 3 mornings and digging around. See the damage? Now last night I set up a trail cam and it didn't catch anything but me coming into the garden this morning, so I'm gonna have to reset it in a different location and see why it didn't capture anything. My guess is it could be a skunk, but I'm not sure. So that's a bit of a headache that I've got to work through now. I'm fortunate that it hasn't done any damage to any plants. It is kind of disturbing these strawberries here, so I've got to kind of re-rake this area out today and fix this. Getting really close to that strawberry root there. So these poor guys are probably a little unhappy with that. And they're not as actually unhappy with it as I am. So that's a problem that we need solving. Another note of interest is I actually did start a little bit of transplanting. Now I've done a lot of seed starting, mostly in the brassica family. I did do my tomatoes as well and some peppers. But my brassicas have taken off pretty well. I say taken off pretty well. They've got more than 2 true leaves, most of them, especially the kale and the mustard. And for kicks and giggles, I decided to start transplanting some of the stronger ones because I think the temperatures are gonna be fine for them. I'm hoping nothing digs them up, being that I have this little pest problem in the garden. But more importantly, they're now in contact with native soil. So for my purposes, they're gonna be finishing out stronger earlier than the ones I still have in the cell packs. I'm just taking on a little bit of risk since I can't protect them as well out here as I can in the cell packs, but I'm gonna get food earlier, and that's always exciting. So let me show you them. So this bed here is what I'm referring to as bed 47 in the garden, and on the back part, the north end, I installed 10 plants. We've got 4 red Russian kale, 4 green wave mustard, and 2 what I'm guessing is baby bok choy, and I'm guessing that only because it came out of a seed pack called Brazen Greens Mix, which has 2 kinds of mustard, tatsoi, baby bok choy, and red Russian kale, and these look mostly like the baby bok choys that I had last year. So we'll see what they turn out to be, but assuming these decide to survive the early transplant, I usually wouldn't transplant this small. I'd probably wait another couple of weeks, which I'm going to do with the rest of the trays. But you know, you get antsy, you want to put something in the ground, and like I said, if they survive, having this exposure to full-time air out here with the soil, I think they're gonna, installing these now and installing the ones in the cell pack 2 weeks after this, I'm willing to bet these are going to mature earlier, despite the fact that they're both, you know, growing. They were sown at the same time. Now, a few weeks ago, I posted a video, might have been longer than that ago, about how I was cleaning the Bermuda grass from the edge of the fence. And this is the western edge. And when I did this, I did a video on how I sowed up until this point onion seeds from a pack that I had. And that was back in early February. Now, we've had cold temperatures, the ground hasn't really warmed up, so I wasn't expecting too much germination up to this point, but these first 2 sections were done a few days earlier than the next 6 sections. I say sections because I was between each T-post drilling lines. So this 10-foot section, that 10-foot section was done. They were done, I think 2 or 3 days before the rest of them. But I've noticed, other than deer tracks, that we finally have, let's see if I can find them for you. We've got some germination. So there's 2 onion seeds right there, and I can see down the line I've got a few more. It's not great germination yet throughout the whole area, but when I look through these first 2 sections, I am seeing quite a bit. So I'm pretty excited about that. If, like I said, if we don't have anything rooting these things up, we probably have another 4 solid months between now and mid-July where these things can really grow well. This is a long day onion, sweet Spanish, and our longest day being June 20th, they can still finish out after that. And I grew this variety last year, and they did fine for my latitude 36. And I think they're going to finish out pretty well, assuming that they don't get dug up by any critters in this area. So yeah, I'm going to count this one as a pretty big win, and I'll be excited to see how they continue to grow. If I have any that are too close together and I want to kind of declump them, I'm going to just go ahead and remove a couple of them here and there and just transplant them other places in the garden. And a final note of interest is along the garden, I finally have cleared all of the Bermuda grass from the edge and created some sort of a barrier with wood chip. Now I re-cardboarded this area here because it was not as wood chipped as other areas that were easier to pull the Bermuda grass out of. So I wanted to sort of try to re-smother some native grass that I didn't feel like trying to get out by hand. But either way, I have a lot more protection at the fence edge from weeds creeping in than I had in prior years. So that's a monumental achievement for me, because kind of getting this garden Bermuda grass free. Hang on, tractor. Getting this garden as Bermuda grass free as possible has been sort of my my white whale, and in my mind I've pretty much landed at this point. Now I've just had to keep it up over the coming years, and just keep an eye on it this year to make sure there's nothing significant that I missed. But yeah, that thrills me to no end, because I really feel like now it's getting to the point in this garden where it's going to be a whole lot of seed starting, transplanting, a little bit of weeding here and there, irrigating, and harvesting. And come on, isn't that why we do this? And that, folks, is a mid-March update. So we've got some things planted, we got some weeds cleared out, we got some compost underway, we've got a critter that we've got to somehow proof against. But yeah, a whole lot more wins than losses right now, and I think we're in for a really exciting season. So I will see you again in 2 weeks for the full garden tour. And until then, thanks for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.